When I first started watching horror movies in my teens, most of what I watched either came from the US or from right here in the UK. But when a certain movie from 1998 about a cursed VHS tape came into my life, it opened my eyes to the world of Asian horror, and since then, Sadako has kind of been my main girl. So when I saw the trailer for Project Wolf Hunting, my jaw literally hit the floor because it is this amazing looking mix of crime, action, sci-fi, and horror, and I need it in my life. This is easily one of my most anticipated movies for 2023. Now I know it came out in 2022 in South Korea, but the rest of the world had to wait to 2023, so I get to include it on this year's release list. Korea's most wanted criminals are being transported on a cargo ship back to Busan, South Korea. When they escape their handcuffs in an all-out riot, they soon discover that nobody is safe, when they accidentally unleash a horror that is also being transported in the darkness below deck. As always with the movies here on my channel, I'm going to go and watch it off camera, so that way if you still want to watch Project Wolf Hunting, there will be no spoilers for the actual film content. Nobody wants to watch a movie that they have just watched somebody else watch from start to finish.
That thing is a killing machine!
If anyone is curious, I rented this movie from Amazon Prime, and the version that I watched is the Korean version with the English subtitles. I'm aware that there is possibly an English dubbed version out there, but I wasn't going to watch the dubbed version, I was always going to watch the subbed version. Sadly, like a lot of movie trailers these days, Project Wolf Hunting's trailer shows too many of the best parts of this film. So if you are going to watch this movie, do not watch the trailer before going into it, otherwise you will spoil parts of the movie for yourself. This movie starts with a bang, literally and figuratively, and then around the 25-minute mark, it properly kicks in and it starts to not hold anything back anymore. For the first almost hour, you see exactly why these criminals are considered to be some of Korea's most deadliest criminals, and this really kicks in when the actual escape plan and the riot starts, because the brutality that is shown to the police officers, oh, nothing's held back. In this first hour as well, you also find out a little bit about what Project Wolf Hunting is, and that Alpha is basically in the bottom of the boat being transported along with the criminals back to South Korea. The organisation behind Project Alpha and why Alpha is revealed though much later on in the movie, and I'm not really going to go into much detail about that, but I will talk about one particular scene in a little bit. I have to ask though why Alpha is lying on a bed where the bottom of it is just a layer of those Orbeez things, you know, the squishy bead things, but it isn't around till the 56-minute mark, I want to say 56-minute mark, where he properly turns up and you realise just how brutal this guy is going to be. Like, if you thought the first hour was gory and violent, that is nothing on the second half of this movie. I swear you just spend half your time waiting for Alpha to obliterate everybody. Like, nobody is safe from this guy, and you know that hardly anybody, if anybody, is gonna get off this boat alive. This is a long movie at just over 2 hours, and it does feel like a long movie. There are bits of filler in this movie, and I understand why they're there. They're to give you a breather from all of the gore and violence, but I do think that this gives the movie a slight pacing issue because it does feel very stop and start at times. Here is where my rating is going to be affected though, and while the gore and the violence is great, the plot isn't the strongest, and there are an awful lot of characters in this that we kind of go through at rapid pace, so you don't get to spend any kind of substantial time with them to find out who everybody is and why you should care about them being torn limb from limb by Alpha. And that is nothing against the cast, because everybody does a stellar job with the material that they've been given. I am going to put a spoiler warning up for this point though. It's just a little spoiler warning, and it will disappear when I have finished talking about the spoiler. Obviously, Alpha is a human test subject, and we get a flashback where we actually get to see the origins of Project Wolf Hunting, and it actually takes you all the way back to the Imperial Japanese Army during World War II. If you hadn't already noticed when the subtitle pops up to tell you that this is back in World War II, I think the rising sun flag that is being obscured by soldiers at one point is a dead giveaway to this. Now, if you don't know what the rising sun flag is, it is actually considered offensive in countries like China, South Korea, and Indonesia because of what it symbolises. And if you didn't know, Project Wolf Hunting is a movie made in South Korea, so they are not going to have the highest opinion of the rising sun flag. I liked the direction that this movie went in, but I don't think that it is going to be a direction that everybody is going to enjoy. And in the end, I still liked Project Wolf Hunting, but I don't think that it lives up to the expectations that I had for it because the plot isn't that strong, if I'm being honest. I'm going to give Project Wolf Hunting a 3 out of 5 in the end. And that's not to say that it's a bad movie, it's just the plot kind of lets it down. And if you've watched as many movies as I have over the years, you can see that this movie has drawn inspiration from a lot of other different movies and kind of jigsaw puzzled them together to make this movie. Towards the end of the movie though, something happens that is the catalyst for the end of the movie. And I wasn't particularly satisfied with that plot twist. But the end 10 minutes, I do like the direction that that has gone in, because now this movie could either be a standalone movie on its own, or it could also have a possible sequel. And I would actually be interested in a sequel. Things that you'll take away from Project Wolf Hunting is you'll remember how cool Alpha looked, but you won't remember anything to do with the origin story. You'll remember the certain appearances from some of the criminals, but you won't remember any of their names because the names are mentioned so briefly and they're never mentioned again throughout the movie that a lot of people just become quite forgettable, even though there's some people in this that just look so cool. And you'll remember the gore and the violence, which is the thing that sadly carries this movie, when it should be that the plot carries this movie and the gore and violence go hand in hand with it. So there you have it. There are my thoughts and my opinions on Project Wolf Hunting from 2023. If you've seen the movie, I would be interested to know what your thoughts and opinions are down in the comments section below. And if you're going to watch Project Wolf Hunting, please let me know, because it's not a bad movie. I enjoyed it. I do think that there are people out there that will definitely enjoy this movie. Just don't watch the trailer because you'll spoil it for yourself. But I will be back on Friday now with a double feature where I am pairing 2 movies that are complementary together to see if they work for your next viewing double. Until next time then, bye!